Hello, and welcome to another season of the Michael Cruz Show. I'm your host, Darian Washington, and with me today is the head coach of the Massillon Tigers, Michael Cruz. We want to thank our sponsor again this season, Reliable Heating and Cooling. Coach, since this is our first show of the season, let's remind the fans about some of the highlights from last year's season.
Yeah, last year we were able to win 15 games, which is the most that the school's won in quite some time. We were able to beat our rivals on the road, that team from Canton, for the first time in 15 years. We were able to advance all the way to the district semifinals, which was the first time that the school had done so in 11 years. So certainly a lot of positives, and probably the thing I'm most proud about is all four of our seniors had an opportunity to play at the next level as well as continue their educational careers.
You're starting your second season as the head coach of the Tigers. How different was this offseason for you and your staff compared to last year?
It was very different. Obviously, last year when we got here in May, it was about just setting the foundation, starting to form those relationships with the players. While we have a lot of new players coming in, we also have a lot of returners. So those relationships have already been established, and I think that they had a better understanding of what we expected as coaches.
Your Tigers opened the new season last Friday night at Worcester. Unfortunately, your team lost 72-51. Tell us more about that game.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed in that game. I thought that we got outworked for 32 minutes. I didn't think there was 1 second where we outworked Worcester. So, obviously our football team made a deep run, which was great. But obviously we have about half of our basketball players that were on the football team. So it was definitely an adjustment, for those guys, especially that were coming in, straight from the football field. So definitely not the performance that we wanted, but I think it was an eye-opener for our kids to understand that we got to work much harder if we want to have the success that we're trying to achieve this year.
This past Tuesday, the Tigers lost at Lakewood. What's the story behind that loss?
Well, Lakewood's really good. That's number one. They are one of the most experienced teams returning. They're one of the biggest teams, not just in Northeast Ohio, but the state. They go 6'5" through 6'8". I think 2 through 5 in their starting lineup, and also have a 6'9" kid that they brought off the bench. So, they're a really good team. That game I think was more about just kind of knocking the rust off. Again, our guys have only been together for a week and a half, while Lakewood and all of our other opponents have been together for the last 5.5 weeks. So the one thing that I really liked from the Lakewood game was we started to play a lot harder. We just had some mental lapses in our defenses and just a couple of miscues on offense that prevented us from, obviously winning the game.
We'll talk more with Coach Cruz and meet a Tiger player in a moment. But first, this word from Reliable Heating and Cooling.
Everything that goes into a Lennox system is engineered for absolute comfort. Like the parts that create your perfect temperature and humidity, or the parts that purify the air. Together, all these parts save you up to half off your heating and cooling bills. And there are few things more comforting than that.
The future of home comfort is here now at Reliable Heating and Cooling. Get the latest innovation and technology at Reliable. Lennox. Innovation never felt so good.
Thank you, Reliable Heating and Cooling. And welcome back to the Michael Cruz Show. The Tiger player joining us this week is Brett Martin. Brett, your team made a nice run in the tournament last year. What do you remember most about it?
Well, last year, I just remember all the hard practices in the summer with all the new guys that we didn't know what to expect having a new coach. And the season went on, we surprised a lot of people. The tournament run was fun. I feel like we could have went farther, but got stopped short.
What do you see as your role on this year's team?
My role this year is really just doing whatever he needs me to do. If that's playing the 5, which I'm really not used to, or playing out on the perimeter, I'll just do whatever I'm asked to do.
Tell us what a typical practice day is like with Coach Cruz.
Oh, jeez. Well, we get in there. We usually do box outs every day. We always get some conditioning in, get some water, which is the best time of practice. Now we do a lot of live stuff, which I like, and then at the end we'll play like a free throw game, and we always seem to mess that up a few times, so we got to run some more, but we always get it done.
On a personal level, what are your strengths and weaknesses as a player?
I feel like my strengths are just like being a good teammate, doing what I'm asked to do. I feel like I can make a couple shots here and there, but my weaknesses are I can be like more of a vocal leader to like the younger guys and like get my ball handling where it needs to be.
Can you share with us some of the team goals for this season?
Yeah, we really only have two. Beat that team from Canton and win a state championship.
Thanks, Brett. Coach, give us your impressions of Brett, both on and off the court.
Brett's one of those players that obviously you just love to coach every day. Having a chance to get to know him over the past year plus has been great, and to see him not only mature as a basketball player but also as a young man has been very special to me. He's one of our most valuable players. He started last year, 24 out of 25 games as a sophomore. Like he said earlier, he's very versatile. There are times when we play smaller and he can play in the post, and then there are times when we play bigger and we can put him on the perimeter. So he really is capable of doing everything, and I think this year he's going to be one of those kids at the end of the year that everybody knows his name. So I'm just very pleased and honored, honestly, to be his coach. Right now we only have one team captain, and it's Brett Martin. So I think that speaks volumes to the type of kid he is.
The Tigers will play their first home game of the season this Saturday night against Louisville. What can you tell us about the Leopards?
They're very good, they're very physical, and they shoot a lot of threes. It's going to be a tremendous challenge for us. We were fortunate to beat them at their place last year in a very close game. I think we ended up winning by 4, but I think we scored a bucket at the end of the game to make it a 4-point game. So, we expect them to come in looking for revenge, and we know that we're going to have to play very, very hard for 32 minutes, but also execute in order to get the result that we want.
Then on Tuesday night, the Tigers are home to battle Akron-Hoban. How about a scouting report on the Knights?
They're extremely good. They're not only one of the best teams in Northeast Ohio and in Stark County, but they're one of the best teams in the state of Ohio. They're going to be, they're probably the favorite to win their district. So that's going to be a tremendous challenge. We lost to them last year at their place, so hopefully we'll be able to exact some revenge in that game. But right now, really, our focus is just on having a great practice today and Friday to give ourselves a chance to win on Saturday.
What kind of expectations do you have for your team this season?
Yeah, I know obviously we've started slow, but again, only having our guys for a week and a half, that's just the reality of where we are right now. But I think once we get everybody acclimated and everybody in basketball shape and everybody healthy, like he said, we have 2 team goals every year, and that's to beat that team from Canton, who we have at our place this year on January 27th, and to win a state championship. And, obviously, again, we have a long ways to go to achieve those goals, but those will always be our goals as far as team goals as long as I'm here.
As you look down your roster, who are some of the guys you'll be looking at to lead the way for the rest of the guys?
Well, obviously, Brett's going to be a big piece to that. We expect, we have a couple seniors, Dyson Berry, J.J. Streeter, Tyler Kearns, and Anthony Ballard that we think, are obviously going to be important for us. The junior class, Brett Martin, Jalen Pope, Camden Manweiler, and Trayvon Morgan. We feel like Anthony Pedro's given us a lot already as a sophomore, and we have a couple freshmen, Jaden Ballard and Darian Williams, who we think are going to be really important for us.
And finally, tell us more about this year's schedule as it compares to your first season.
First year's schedule was very difficult. This year is extremely difficult. We are going to be challenged almost on a nightly basis, but obviously being an independent, not having a chance to compete for a conference championship, my goal was to make sure that we were as battle tested as possible when we get to the tournament, because as everyone knows, we have one of the best districts on a yearly basis. Also important to me because I want these kids to be playing against teams that have other college prospects, because it's very, very important to me that our kids have the opportunity to play at the next level and continue their athletic as well as academic careers beyond Massillon.
As we wrap up this first edition of the Michael Cruz Show for this season, we want to thank Reliable Heating and Cooling for sponsoring our show. And thanks to Coach Cruz and Brett Martin for joining us. I'm your host, Darian Washington. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Tigers.